What's going on, everyone? So the Dallas Mavericks have had themselves quite the offseason, right? They went and traded for Kyrie Irving, and it was a disaster. Not because of Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving was actually very good for the Dallas Mavericks. Dallas was actually better with Kyrie on the court without Luka than with Luka without Kyrie. They just became bad because they basically got rid of all of their defense to go and trade for Kyrie, and then it just kind of was a mess, right? But overall, the goal was to re-sign Kyrie Irving and then put some quality pieces and some versatility and some defense around these guys and the core of the roster that they have and try to make a push to win an NBA championship. Dallas was just in the Western Conference Finals not too long ago, and the idea is like Luka and Kyrie, full offseason, full training camp, full preseason. You got all the question marks with Kyrie Irving out of the way. Now you can just kind of focus on basketball and get things done. And look, the idea of Luka and Kyrie makes a lot of sense. There is just a lot of questions on, can Luka play with another star, for one? Is he going to be able to kind of take that back seat? I do think Kyrie doesn't mind being the second option. He's done it on numerous occasions. And I do think he is willing, but at the end of games, how does that look, right? Luka's the guy. This is his team. He's going to want the ball in his hands, but you can make an argument. Kyrie is just the more natural closer and scorer. So he should be the one taking the shots down the stretch. But is Luka going to be willing to take a step back? We saw with Dallas, it was a lot of you go, I go, you go, I go. And I don't know how well that is going to work as far as being a contending team. But if these two can figure it out and they work, Dallas could be a pretty good, if not great team. Are they a contender? That's yet to be seen. I mean, we'll see. They did add some nice pieces, and we'll kind of go through those pieces. And of course, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. But I'm not sold on Dallas. I'm not. Personally, I think they'll be good. I don't think that they'll be great. I think that it's going to take them a little while to figure it out. And by that point, is it too late? Right? And I don't think that they added enough to where you look at that roster and go, yeah, that they are better than Denver. They are better than the Suns. They are better than the Lakers. They are better than the Clippers. They are better than, I look at the teams on the pecking order, and I think that they are very likely smack dab in the middle. I think they're anywhere from the 8th to the 6th seed, depending on how things shape up. But let's go through it, right? So for starters, they traded for Grant Williams, which I do think Grant Williams was a solid addition for them. I think he brings some defense, he brings some toughness, brings some versatility. He's not really a great scorer by any means, but he is a guy that can put the ball in the hoop a little bit. And again, just gives them some flexibility and versatility on the defensive front, as well as on just the ability to play multiple roles, multiple positions, kind of be a chameleon for this roster. Now, he did shoot just a hair under 40% from three. He was 39.5%. He's 38% for his career on basically 4 attempts per game, which is, again, very good. He's 6'6". Power forward is the best position for him. He can play the 3, but power forward is the best spot for him as far as being a mismatch. That's mostly what he played for the Boston Celtics. I think he gets a lot of that with the Dallas Mavericks as well. I do. I think that this was one of the better pickups for them, and I actually think he may end up having one of the larger impacts for Dallas. And I think that this is one of the noteworthy acquisitions. But is anyone looking at Grant Williams and going oh man, that was the piece that Dallas needed to win an NBA championship? I'm not. I think he definitely will make them better. I think he will make them more flexible as far as lineups and sets that they could put out there. But I don't think he's a guy that is oh man, that's the guy that is the major difference maker, right? He's the Draymond for the Steph and Clay type thing. I think he is going to be a quality piece for them. I think he's going to be important for them. But I don't think like he's the guy, right? Next up, Rashawn Holmes. This was an interesting acquisition. They kind of just got him, right? He's undersized for the center position, power forward position. He's like 6'8". Not really a guy that you can necessarily count on from a three-point standpoint, right? He's not a three-point shooter by any stretch of the imagination. He's a guy that is very limited offensively. But he is a guy that has had solid years. His production dropped tremendous for the Kings. He was kind of like the odd man out for them, so it makes sense that he ended up going to Dallas, where I do think Dallas can utilize him. And he is a guy that can and has given, double-digit scoring for the Sacramento Kings. He is a hustle guy, high-energy guy. He's just, again, undersized. And he does, like with him and Grant Williams, gives you some toughness, gives you some defense, gives you some switchability, gives you some just, again, different lineups and pieces to throw out there. You don't need a world of scoring, right, with Kyrie and Luka. Luka and Kyrie are going to handle a bulk of the scoring. And then, they still have plenty of just shooting and just guys that can put the ball in the hoop. So getting like a Grant Williams, Rashawn Holmes, guys like that, I think are good. Even though Grant Williams, like I said, he did shoot 40% on 4 attempts. I think they got him for very more of like the defensive end and just the switchability rather than like, oh, he's a guy that's going to come in and really kind of round out our shooting. I think he's a guy that is more than capable of knocking down the 3 ball. But you got other guys, right? You got Tim Hardaway, Jaden Hardy was really good for them this past season. Josh Green, another guy. Then you have like the big guys and Kleber that you can put alongside Holmes and stuff. So again, gives them some nice versatility. I'm not sure how much of an impact he's going to have on Dallas and how much is Dallas going to utilize him, right? Especially if they end up keeping JaVale McGee, right? And Holmes, again, is probably best at the 5 spot and like a small ball 5 lineup, right? Rather than like big man lineup. And now that they have several bigs, especially one young one that we're going to dive into here in a moment, it was an okay acquisition. It was like, okay, like when they traded for him, it was like, cool, like solid pickup, makes sense. I just don't think it's something that is like, oh, that's the move. But moving on, they got, in many people's eyes, potentially one of the steals of the draft, right? Derek Lively II is just a quality big man. He's got good size, good height, 7'1", 230 pounds. All of the reports coming out of his workouts was that this dude was just lights out. And he's a guy that Dallas is really high on, that has a lot of potential. He's already working out with guys like Tyson Chandler and stuff like that, so that really helps a lot. He's a guy that I think could come in and immediately provide some quality minutes for them. I don't think they're going to rely on him heavily. Like, I don't think he's a guy that they're going to play 30 minutes a game, but I do think he's a guy that can come in and provide some, shot blocking. He averaged 2.5 blocks per game for Duke. This is a guy that defensively should be able to translate well with just his size, his length, athleticism, all of those things. I really like what his potential is. He shot 66% from the field, played about 21 minutes for Duke in that year. And I think he will kind of be an afterthought. So I think that that's one of the things that could give him some success, because you're going to have Kyrie, you're going to have Luka just creating so much chaos, right? And taking attention away. I think if you have Lively and you just kind of run him in specific sets and having him just move without the ball and him being in the dunk spot, I do think he's a guy that could maybe get 8 to 10 points per game in limited run, right? How much opportunities he's going to get for 1, 2, how much do they actually look for him? But I do. I'm actually excited about this pickup more than probably anything else. Grant Williams, I think, is like the highlight pickup. I think that was probably the best acquisition that they did. But as far as like draft goes, I think Lively has a lot of potential. Does Dallas want to put him in a position now, though, is the question. Like, does Dallas look at him as like, okay, we're going to spend this year just kind of developing him, not really going to play much, kind of playing garbage time or sporadically here and there? Or do they look at it as like, no, let's get him developed. Let's get him, 15 minutes a game, have him run, and kind of put him in positions to have success, right? Allow Luka and Kyrie to kind of make plays and set him up. That could really add some potential. But lastly, Seth Curry, back on the Dallas Mavericks. It gives them some solid shooting to add to their already shooting roster. 6'2", 185, right? So it's solid pickup. Again, not really something that I think is like, that's the move. But hey, he can shoot the ball, right? Which is what they need. 40% three-point shooter. He shot just under 41%, if I'm not mistaken, on 4 attempts per game. So he's a guy that can give you 10 to 12 points per game. Be a threat out there next to Luka and Kyrie. He's undersized, doesn't really provide much on the defensive end, which I would have rather them get, but at the price that they got Seth Curry, it makes sense to bring Seth Curry in. My guess is you're looking at like Luka, Kyrie, Hardaway Jr., maybe they go like Josh Green and Keebler, something like that. Or Keebler? Kleber. But yeah, maybe they go Holmes. That could be something. I just think Kleber is the guy that kind of makes sense, right? But I just, again, I don't really know how, I don't really know how to gauge Dallas. Like, I either think, this year is going to be a solid year for Dallas, and it's like, oh man, okay, like, watch out. Like, they could end up being like a dark horse, or I think it's going to be a disaster again. I really do. And again, like, some people are trying to hype up the acquisitions. I don't think that they got that much better defensively, which I think is going to be a problem. I think they're still going to have trouble stopping guys or stopping teams. And I do think they'll be able to score points, but that was never the problem to begin with, even before Kyrie. Like, they needed somebody that could be a secondary playmaker and, just a guy that when Luka's out, the team doesn't just fall apart. So that in and of itself, I think helps a lot. But I don't know where, like, I've really thought about this, and I don't know where to place Dallas outside of like the 6 to the 8 range. I think they are. I just think that there's, like, are they better than Golden State? I don't think so, right? Are they better than the Lakers? I definitely don't think they're better than the Lakers. I don't think they're better than Denver. I don't think they're better than the Suns. I don't think they're better than pretty much half the Western Conference. Like, if you just go through, like, if you just think of the Western Conference teams, right? The Nuggets, the Kings, I don't think they're better than the Kings. The Suns, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Lakers. That's at least 6 teams that are better than them. And I haven't even mentioned Memphis. Memphis is, I'm curious to see without Trey, they have Marcus Smart now. Okay. Like, are they able to kind of stay alive without Ja? And then when Ja comes back, how does he look? So the Grizzlies are another team that's kind of a question mark. But, like, I think Dallas has potential to be better than Minnesota. The Pelicans, if they have Zion, I don't know if Dallas is better than the Pelicans without Zion. And then the Thunder, how do they look with Chet? Like, where do you place them? Like, where do you place the Dallas Mavericks? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Where do you place the Dallas? Like I mentioned, what are your thoughts? How do you feel about the offseason for them? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments.